Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is the place where you learn new skill every time you visit. So keep updating yourself by subscribing to the channel. Guys, this is the part 2 of the previous video where we have discussed the input output in Java. And in this video, we are going to understand the same concept practically. If you haven't seen the part 1, I'm putting the link in the description. So have a look at it. So guys, I'm using BlueJ as an interface to compile the Java programs. If you don't have the BlueJ, I'll put the link in the description from where you can download. It's free to use. So let's start with the practical part of the input output in Java. So here in this particular interface, this is the first screen where if I have to create a new class, I need to go to new and then type a class name. All right. And then I need to press OK. As soon as I do that, a class is created here and I need to double click on that and then delete the content, whatever is there, and then type my code, right? But right now, I have already typed a class to discuss the concept practically. So I'll just open that class, input output. So in this class, I'll just explain you what I have already typed. Now in this class, we have declared there's a class by the name input output. Of course, we have a string variable, right? Or a string object, string variable or an object. We have a total marks and percentage, which belongs to the double. We have a static variable double, into which we have stored the maximum marks 500. This is the statement scanner sc equals to new scanner system.in. Technically, we will say that here we are creating an object of the scanner class because scanner is a ready-made class and sc is the object, right? Now, why do we need to create this object? In Java, we can take the input through any of the input devices like a keyboard or a scanner or a sensor. But in this particular program, since we are dealing with keyboard, our standard input device is the keyboard. So we have to specify my compiler that my standard input device is going to be input. So here I'm stating that. So in a layman's language, you can understand that here I'm telling my compiler that my input device is going to be the keyboard. Now here I have input function. Now as the name says input function, it's going to take the input from the user, right? Now in this particular input function, when I'm asking for this particular class has a name, total marks, and it's going to calculate percentage of a student. So to calculate percentage of a student, I need these details from the user, whosoever is running this. All right. Now to get the details from the user, I need to show on the screen that what I need from them. Or what I mean is I need to print a message on the screen stating that please enter a name or enter a marks. So to print a message on the screen, or the print command of Java is system.out.print. That means into the system, into the computer's output device, I'm printing this message, enter a name. So whatever you put inside the codes over here in these parentheses, that gets printed on the screen. So here I'm printing a message, enter a name. And now in response to that message, the user is of course going to type something on the keyboard, the name of that particular user. So whatever the user types on the keyboard, the name of course, has to go to name. So this is the way you collect that. Whatever name is typed on the keyboard with this statement goes to the variable name. So here we are collecting the name from the keyboard. We are collecting the name data from the keyboard to the variable name. Then similarly, I need a message to which will ask the marks also. So here I'm stating enter marks of a student. And similarly, this statement is taking the marks from the keyboard and storing it into the total marks. Now guys, you would have observed that here it is only next and here it is a next int. The reason being, Java takes everything in the form of a string, all right, that I will discuss in the later part of this video. So if the information is in the form of string, that means alphabet, you need not to convert it. It will automatically directly go there. But if the input is integer or a double, you have to use a function next int because Java will take the number also in the form of a string. What do I mean by that is, suppose you have typed, this is a question to input two numbers and you have typed 2 and 3, all right, and Java has taken the numbers, although you have typed the number, but Java has taken it in the form of a string. All right. So when you will put a statement like 2 plus 3 in your process function, so Java is not going to print it. It's going to print 23. Means it is joining them. So it is not going to do calculation unless you have converted it into integer. So for that reason only, we have to convert the integer input or the double input accordingly by using these functions. For double, we have next double. For integer, we have next integer. Okay. I think you would have understood by this explanation. Now let's go to the next function, which is the process. Now what happens in the process function over here? In the process function, we are just calculating the total percentage marks. So which is total marks upon maximum marks into 100. And if you will observe over here, that here I have a variable called maximum marks, which is a static variable. So maximum marks I have stored 500 because maximum marks is not going to change. Now what do I mean by maximum marks is not going to change? Suppose I need to take input of two students, details of two students. So for both students, the name and the total marks will be different. And of course, percentage will also be different. But the maximum marks is going to be same. It is going to be a constant. All right, it's going to be same. So that's for that reason only we can use a keyword static, because static keywords keeps the value same throughout all the objects of the particular class. Now, what are the objects? I'm just going to explain you at the end of this video, right? So here we have discussed the input function. Here we have the first process function, and now finally I have the output function. Now, what we are doing in the output function? In my output function, I'm just printing the result which we have calculated. So I'm saying system.out.print name is. So this is the message which you will print, and in front of it you have to print the value of name. So whatever name the user has typed while taking the input here, that name will be displayed here. Now since this is a message and this is a variable, so to join them we have to use a plus. Plus is a joining operator, you can call it, or concatenate operator. Again, in front of that you also need a message. You also need to print marks is. So you have said marks is and then total marks in front of it. Now this new /n statement keeps the sentence to print on the new line. So for that reason only, first name will print, and then marks will be printed on the new line. Although you have typed it on the same line, but because of this /n, which means new line, this is going to be printed on the next line. And then on the third line, because this is again starting from the /n, it's going to show you the percentage. All right. So these are the three methods of my particular Java program: the input, the process, and the output. Now, what do we do in the main method? You would have understood in the theory part when I explained in the previous part of the video that the main function has an important role to play. The main function actually calls or triggers the input, process, and output, or whatever function you have defined in that particular class or a program, right? So how do you trigger, how do you start, or how do you execute a function? To execute a function, to start a function, you need an object of the class. Now, how do you create an object? To create an object, the statement or the syntax is class name, object name equals to new operator and the class name. So your class name is input output. So you have said input output object one equals to new input output bracket start. So this statement is actually creating an object of the class input output. Now, why have you created an object? You have created this object to call the three methods which we have defined, because unless you don't call them, they're not going to execute. And if they are not going to execute, there's no use of it. No output is going to come. So here I'm calling, or I'm triggering, or I'm starting the method input. So when I say oba.input, this statement is going to start or trigger which method? The input method. So this method will be triggered out, and it will take the name and the marks from the user. Now when I said over here obj1.output or obj1.process, I'm sorry, this is going to trigger out the process function. Which is the process function? Here's the process function. Here on the top, here's the process function where we are going to do the calculation of where the function is going to calculate the percentage, right, out of the total marks. And then the third statement over there in the main is obj1.output. So this particular statement is going to trigger out the output function and it's going to print the details. Now let's compile this program and see the output, whether it behaves the way we are thinking or not. So how to compile the program? You just have to click at the compile button over here. All right, and here the message comes. If there's no error, it shows no syntax error. Now I'll go to the Java main screen and try to run this program. So I'll just switch over to the Java main screen. And here I'll right click on the input output class and I'll select the main function. When I select the main function and inside my main function, the all input, process and output function are already started or triggered. So they are going to run one after another. So I'll just say main and OK. Now the input function has triggered and it's asking for the name. So I'm giving the name. It's asking for the marks. So I have given the marks. Now the calculation has been done and it is showing you the percentage. So this percentage has been calculated by the process function. So after the input function, the process function got executed, percentage is calculated, and in the output function, the details have been, along with the percentage, has been shown, right? I think that this makes sense to you now. Now let's go back and do a little change in my program. So now, as we said, and we have learned in the previous video, that what is the advantage of the function? Reusability. You can use that function again and again. Now this over here, I have taken the detail of one student, so I've created one object, right? Now if I need the detail of another student also, so I need to create one more object. So what I'm doing over here is I'm just copying this statement again to create another object, but I'll change the object name. So I'll make it obj2. Now why I have created object2? Just to call the input, call the process, and call the output again for the second student. Just below this, I'm calling the input again with the second object, obj2.input. Here, obj2.process. Here, obj2.output. All right. So here I have called input 2 times, process 2 times, and output 2 times. Let's see the output, what it does. So I'll just compile the program and go back to the terminal. So this is the main screen, and I'll run the program again. I'll right click and go to the void main. Now it will ask the name again, so I'll give a name. It's asking for the total marks. I am out of 500. I am giving the marks. It's asking another name. I have given one more name. It's asking me the marks. I have given another marks. Now see, it has simultaneously calculated the details and the percentage of both students. Now, when I go to my main the coding part again, here I have one name variable, right? One name variable and one name total marks. So why does, when I given the second student's name, has overwritten the first student name? Because variable is only one and you have actually stored two names and printed it simultaneously also. Similarly, you have taken two total marks and 2% have been calculated simultaneously and printed, right? How that has happened? That has happened because of the object, right? So when we create an object over here, suppose I have created an object obj1. So what happens that along with the object, one set of copy obj1, one set of copy of all the variables are created. Like the class variables are name, so you will have a different version of name along with obj. You can say it like obj1.name, and there is a total marks also. So you have another variable which belongs to the obj1 version, total marks. All right. Similarly, you have another variable, percentage. So you will have percentage again with the obj1. So these are different variables. That is a copy of the name, total marks, and percentage. Now, when you have created another object, object2, so here you'll do the same thing. So this particular function statement is going to create second copy of the same variables along with object2. So you will have name, you will have total marks with the second object version, and also you're going to have the percentage with the second object. So that's why when you type the name, okay, a particular name of the student, it got stored here. And when you type the second student name, it got stored here. So for that reason only, this name has not overwritten this name, and both are simultaneously repeated. Similarly for the total marks and similarly for the percentage. Okay. So with every object, a new copy of the class variables are created. All right. Now, what happens for the static variable? Let's see. There's one more variable called maximum marks, which is a static. Over here we have declared it here, maximum, right? So since the variable maximum marks is static, so it is not going to have different version with different object. It's only going to have one version. So the static variable maximum marks is going to be same for both objects. I think now it makes more sense to you. What is a static variable? So the static variable does not have different copy with different object. It has only same copy with both object or more than one object. Okay, guys. So here we have understood the reusability of the function. How does the different versions of the variables are created with different objects, and how does the static variable work, right? Now, along with the type of variable, we have also discussed that static variable, which I just discussed with you, class variables. So here, class variable are those variables which are outside any method, that is, which are not there inside any of these methods. Okay, so they are outside, but inside the class. So this name and total marks and percentage are called class variable. The maximum marks is of course a static variable, and I've explained you what does that mean. Now we have a third category of the variable called the local variable. In case I need a variable to be declared inside a function, like here, if I need a variable to be used for any other job, suppose I have got double answer. All right. Now this variable answer, in case I would be using it somewhere in the calculation, will be called the local variable, right? Because this is defined inside the class. This is inside the body of the class. Now, since it is defined inside the body of the class, it cannot be accessed outside. All right. So if you're trying to print the answer here in the output, it's going to give the error. It will say variable not found. So this is the local variable. So guys, we have discussed the local variable, the static variable, the class variable. We have discussed the different functions of the class, input function, process, and output. We have also discussed the objects, that with different objects, the class variables have a different version. Now we talk about the main function. Here, the job of the main function was to create object and trigger out the methods, okay, the different methods, so that they work. Now, you can also convert your whole program into the main method. That means you need not to have the methods. You can make the complete program into the main method. Just I'll show you how. So what I'll do, I'll just copy all the variables from here. All right. I'll just cut it from here and bring it to the main. I'll just paste it here. Okay. Similarly, I'll take the content of the input function, cut it from here, and bring it here. So I'm doing the input also inside the main. Now I'll pick the calculation part. I'll cut it from here and The calculation part is also done in the main. And then the output part, I'll cut it from here and I'll put it into the main. So now I don't have any methods, anything in the method. So I don't need methods. I'll just delete all the method body. Okay. So now I have converted the whole program inside one method. All right. This way is also possible. You can also do the coding this way, but it's advisable to break a program into the methods. That's easier for you to debug, to read, and reuse. Right. Now over here, since you don't have any methods, so you don't need objects also. So I'll just remove these objects in the calling objects part also. All right. Now let's see. What is the problem over here? So now I will just, instead of marks, now since they're static variable, why I have erased that, guys? Yeah, the static double variable. Now since the main function is also static, so that means we cannot create an object of the main function. All right, we have created an object of the class, but we cannot call the main functions using any object. So for that reason only, I don't need a static maximum marks here. So that can work as a normal double marks variable. Because we don't have objects, so we don't have the issue of different versions of the variable. All right. So now I'll compile this. Right, it compiles without error, and I'll try to show you how it works. Okay, so this is the previous output. I'll just continue with that. I'm giving a new student name, percentage, another student. Okay, now because I don't have two objects here, this I have done in the main function, so it's not going to ask another detail. It has just asked the detail of the one student and has given you the output. So if you want to get the details of another student, you have to run this program again. So now you see the advantage of the objects over there. In one run, I can take the students of two students details by creating two objects. But now I need to run the program again to take the detail of the second student. So that's the advantage of the objects. All right, guys. So I think you would have understood the concept well. All right. So that's it for this video, guys. See you on the next video. The next videos would be based on the next concept after this. So take care. If you are new to the channel, please subscribe it. Also press the bell notification so that you get notification as soon as I release a new video. Share and like the video.